Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success. What is this show? What are we doing? Welcome to Fuel for Success, episode 225. Sorry about that. I clearly need just a little bit more coffee. My lips are still a little bit frozen at 16 degrees Fahrenheit here. Thawing them out.
That's brutal, okay. Mike.
I totally didn't expect it. So here's a life tip for everyone. Pay a little bit of attention to the weather. Otherwise, you're going to go outside in a t-shirt and a light jacket. It's going to be 16 degrees, and you'll be like, whoa, what happened? I was oblivious, had no idea.
How did you get through that? How did you manage to get through that?
Sometimes, my friend, you just have to power through it. And being Minnesotan, 16, well, it's actually up to 18 now. So, warming trend. So being from Minnesota, it's actually not that cold. It just sort of shocked me a little bit. I wasn't expecting it. I was thinking, warm, like 25, 30 degrees. So anyways, I'm good now. But good to see you, and I'm glad it's 66 there. We're on our way to warmer climes today. Of course, Carol and I are headed to New Orleans for Mission 25 this weekend. Got some preliminary things to take care of when we get there, and I think it's going to be like 70 degrees there, so that'll be a nice change for us.
And you know what?
No, what? Tell me, please. Don't know what happened there. A little technical difficulty.
We, my friend, are going to be doing a juice signing tomorrow. Juice signing, a book signing for our book. Just Juice It, my friends.
Right.
Looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. Looking forward to spreading the message all across New Orleans. We're only bringing 100 copies, and they will sell out fast. So if you're in New Orleans tomorrow from noon to 3, we will be at the mall. Come find us. Come hang with us. We'll be doing some signings. Mike and I will also be doing some Christmas caroling and just having a lot of fun. It'll be a blast. So come see us tomorrow for our book signing in New Orleans right at the mall and get your own copy of Just Juice It, my friend.
That's right. Matt and I have been working on our duet of Baby It's Cold Outside, and you don't want to miss it. So...
that would be a nightmare, Mike. That would be an absolute nightmare.
People would be scarred, like, I don't know what just happened.
Oh, I love Al. Al said Christmas wrapping and yoga. What a combination. Oh, yeah, Mike and I are also going to be in our yoga pants, doing a yoga leading as well in the mall. So that would be quite funny. Mike, did you disappear on me? You just froze. Disappeared, trying to get me back. But yeah, so if you haven't got this book yet, you can go to Amazon. It's real easy. Just go to Amazon and type in Just Juice It, or actually type in my name and it'll pull it up. And bam, the second you order it, we've taken shipping out of our hands. It goes right through Amazon and boom, it'll be at your doorstep, my friends. Won't take as long as the first shipment did, again, because the first shipment had an error with the printing pre-Amazon, a different printer. So anyways, this, my friends, is now Amazon friendly, and I believe Kindle as well. Mike will have to verify that when he decides to come back and join us. He just texted me, and he said he'll be back in a minute. Well, let me get into the questions here, and let's just talk about the first question, and that is again, this is our show on spirituality. We like to talk about spiritual issues and get out of the way and let God flow through us and let God lead us so we can be a blessing to you. So the first question is, what do we do if our kids grow up? Not if, or when our kids grow up, or if they walk away from values that we've instilled in them. This happens sometimes, as good as parenting as you do, as much as you try to instill in your kids, sadly, some of them, when they get older and they start making decisions on their own, and they exercise their own free will, some of them do walk away, not, from the values that maybe you've instilled in them. And this is extremely common. In fact, I think it's happened for everywhere I've gone. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a generation where the next generation didn't have a different view or a different twist. Welcome back, Mike. Mike, we'd like to welcome you to our show, Fuel for Success. And thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us, my friend. How are you?
This is me throwing a fit over technology. I'm a little bit frustrated. Actually, I'm a lot frustrated. But anyways, technology is what it is, and it will let you down.
Keeping a good attitude about it, okay? Thanks for not cussing us all out like you did on that one show, man. Really appreciate you maintaining, control. Right. Speaking of self-control, Mike, I believe, even though we're not even talking about this at this point, this is a spiritual issue. Some people don't maintain self-control, and I believe that's a spiritual issue myself. I believe that people that are easily angered, have you ever been around someone that's easily angered? Usually people that are easily angered, they get angry. They're sharp. It's like they're scary because they're so sharp. They have such a raging temper. I believe a lot of this is unresolved resentment, bitterness, and uncontrolled guilt. I think there's a lot of things that play into this, and we'll talk about it later, Mike. What I was kind of diving into is basically giving everybody that has kids that have maybe, changed values or walked away from values that maybe you've instilled in them to kind of take a deep breath, because it is very common for kids as they grow up to think a little different than their parents, even though we all don't want to accept that. It is common for that to happen. What we don't want is we don't want them to stray far. We don't want them to go completely in the opposite direction of the spiritual values that we've given. So the question is, what do we do if that happens? So I think the last thing we should do that I see a lot of parents make a mistake in, what I've seen, because I've done a lot of youth work as well, so I've worked with a lot of teens that have walked away, and what I've noticed is the more you push them and the more you preach at them or lecture them or try to change their mind. Now that's our natural tendency, right? That's our natural, but I've learned and watched and experienced that it actually pushes them further away. So at the end of the day, the question is, what do we do then? Well, obviously, friends, there's nobody bigger than God. I've learned that, God does a good job of being God. He's really good at it. He's actually really good at being God. And I've learned that things are out of my control, such as a stubborn, rebellious, maybe, teenager that's just, or maybe not even a teenager, maybe a young adult. Maybe your 22-year-old kid is doing things that are totally against the values that you've instilled in them. Friends, literally, preaching at them, and you're not going to change their mind. You're just not. This is actually a situation that you're literally, and this is easier said than done, but you literally are going to have to turn it over to God. Say, okay, God, he's yours. I dedicated him. I raised him. I did what you said. I trained him up in the way he should go. He's yours. Now, of course, this is easier said than done because my son's 13, so I haven't battled this yet. But I've got a lot of friends that have. I've also worked with a lot of people in life coaching that have. So I've got experience here from my 10 years of working in student youth ministry. So I've learned that, first and foremost is many of them that are walking away are just trying to find answers to questions that maybe they never had answered. Many of them are just, maybe they had a bad experience. There's various reasons. Maybe they got in the wrong crowd. So there's many of them that actually have a good heart. They're just deceived, or they're wandering, or they're testing, or they're searching. So the second thing I think, besides turning it over to God, is unconditional love and unconditional acceptance. It can't be that every time your son or daughter comes around that you preach at them. I see a lot of parents make this mistake. They want to take a stand and bless God. If you come in my house, this is the way it's going to be. And I get that. But I think at the end of the day, you got to remember, many of them that are searching, and many of them that are wandering, and many of them that are tripping, and many of them that are, they're hurting. They're inside unhappy. They're searching. They're, there's no happiness outside of God. So love them, care for them, and speak a lot of life and encouragement over them. And keep your preaching and lecturing, take it from 90% to 10%. Give a little here and there. It's okay, but most of them know you disapprove. Most of them know where you stand, and they just don't need to hear it all the time. My take, your take, my friend.
Well, I think one of the things that is important and something that I've experienced in my own life, and I think it's valuable, is that you need to keep open communication about it and not be you need to create an environment where they can talk to you about the situations and the issues. In fact, and my daughter still lives at home, but just yesterday, I mean, this is one of the things she was asking me about. What if she asked me about some of the things that we believe in, and she disagrees with some of them, and I allowed her to express that and tell me how she felt, rather than saying, "Oh, well, that's wrong, and here's what we believe, and you need to," allow her to just. I had to allow her to tell me how she feels and really express it without being judgmental, without like closing the door on it. And I think that's important and that's healthy. And later, when if they've gone away from God and begin to speak to you about those things, be open about it. Don't be judgmental. Don't be harsh. Don't, come down on them, say, because they have an opinion. There's a reason that they feel the way they do. So don't discount their reasoning. Don't discount their feelings. Don't discount their thoughts. And take the time to try to understand it. And I think that goes a long ways towards helping, eliminate barriers. Really, is what you're trying to do.
Yeah, Mike. Actually, what you said, I love that. I'm gonna remember that as a dad. Like, I so love what you said about allowing them to ask the tough questions without feeling like they're gonna get a sermon, or making them even feel guilty. Like, you know what? There's been times I've gone to my leaders and I said, I got to be brutally honest and tell you, I don't believe this. Thankfully, they didn't make me feel like I was some like antichrist. But
Right.
I know some other leaders that do that. I know parents that do that. They're like, they get hateful. They get harsh. They immediately begin to speak down. And this is literally what pushes them away. Mike, you very well may have saved your daughter. Listen, it's okay to have questions. It's okay to doubt things. It's okay to say, man, I don't know if I believe that. But the very freedom to express that to a parent or a leader almost brings healing and clarity to that question, believe it or not. But when you make them feel like they're dirty, and you make them feel like they feel hopeless, because it's their real truth and it's what we teach. Like, we want our kids to think for themselves. We want them to grow up and be adults and make their own choices. We want to empower them to not just take everything at face value, but to really search it out, to really seek the truth, to really know. And so the fact that as they grow and they're asking questions doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. It just means they're trying to anchor for themselves, just like we anchored for ourselves one day and are still anchoring. And Mike, I just think for so long in our organization, I know for a fact, is getting better. Thank you, Jesus. But we lost too many people because we didn't give this environment of safety to just express like a different opinion. Like, you know what? What's wrong with us looking at our kids and saying, now, I honestly don't believe in that, but I'm going to respect your opinion. Like, that alone can bring some healing and a safe environment for them to continue to open up, and at least we can still reach them. But Mike, when we come down hard on them, and believe me, I'm a tough parent. I'm tough in a lot of different areas. But I love what you said about no matter how tough you are, no matter how passionately you believe something, there is such a thing as respect, whether it's with our kids, someone of another faith, whether it's someone that's maybe decided that this isn't the path they're going to go. Like, of course, it doesn't mean we have to agree, but you can disagree with someone. The old saying, you can disagree without being disagreeable. There's a lot of wisdom in that.
That's true. And it's, if we have confidence in what we believe, the key is not to be defensive about it. I have confidence in what I believe. I know what I believe. I know where I stand. And so I don't have to get defensive because I don't have that insecurity in myself. And I think that's, was that product placement? I hope we get some money for that.
My name's on the
Just
bottom.
kidding.
Fuel for Success.
We're talking.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. You totally distracted me on the coconut water. And plus, give your kids coconut water. That'll help them too.
Oh, you know what? It'll eliminate doubts. I mean, that'll change their life so much that they won't even have doubts. Coconut water is the answer for everything.
Yeah. Hey, I like what you said though about having respect for other people's opinions and understand that. And when you couple that with the concept that you gave that God is really good at being God, and sometimes you just say, hey, you know what? I don't. You know, you can't convince someone anyways. Nobody was ever saved by argument, like ever. You can't argue someone into understanding or believing. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, what you don't want to do is you don't want to build barriers. You don't want to build walls. You don't want to put things in their way. Don't be a stumbling block. I mean, I could go on and on.
You know, Stacy said a very powerful statement, and a lot of parents do this. You know, I don't think they mean it. It's ignorance, done out of ignorance. It's done out of a lack of training and teaching. But I wholeheartedly agree with Stacy. Like, that is the wrong answer. You know, when someone asks a question, you say, well, that's just because the church teaches that. Now, it's a good answer if that's something you follow out of respect, but that's how it needs to be conveyed. It needs to be conveyed. You know something, little Johnny? Not little Johnny, but Johnny, I actually agree with you. I personally don't understand it myself, but just out of honor and respect, it's something that our church, you know, asks us to do, and the reason why I follow it is just out of respect, not necessarily that's, you know. So again, it's all in how you say things, no matter what. It's all in like your attitude. But here's what's killed our kids. I know for a fact because I'm one of the gutsy ones that's not afraid to ask them the tough questions. In fact, Mike, I'm the person that most people are on edge with in conversations because you just never know what I'm going to ask, right? Because I'm not afraid to ask the very risky question that's just borderline, wow, did he really just ask that, right? But I do. And so I know for a fact one of the reasons why we've lost a lot of our kids is because of the hypocrisy, is because of they saw one thing at church and another thing at home. And that's one thing that I made up my mind as a young dad is to never do, is to be who I am 24/7 at church, at home, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so important. It's so important to you know, too many parents, you know, they say one thing, do another, or the church says one thing, do another. Like, you know, for example, we lost a lot of people in the last 20 years because there's been such a shift in the way we presented beliefs, you know, and a lot of beliefs that we presented, we did out of tradition and out of wanting to please people and maybe out of fear. And as a result, we actually ended up contradicting ourselves in so many ways that a lot of kids have started to think for themselves, which this is a new day. And culturally, this is a new day. You know, people nowadays, they question everything. You know, 30 years ago, it wasn't even like that in or out of the church. I mean, the world was different, you know, but nowadays, you know, people they're on top of it. They think, they evaluate. They're like, I don't know about that. Let me check. We got Google. Like, somebody can say something, you can get it backed up with Google like that. So it's like created this culture where nowadays kids think. 30 years ago, we could say, bless God, this is the way it's going to be because this is how we're going to do it. And that would fly. That doesn't fly today, my friend.
No.
Like, you can't say to kids, well, this is just the way it is and this is how we're going to do it. They're thinking like, no, we want to know why. And Mike, I believe why we lost a lot of kids, we really did, more than what people realize, because they saw a lot of stuff presented. Now, you can present something and it be right, but if we present it the wrong way or we contradict, you know, or we don't give an explanation why. You know, I know a lot of my friends that teach things, they don't even know why they teach it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we're out here in deep waters right now. We'll bring it back in. But we got to be real, my friends. This is our show, so we can be real here. I'm giving the real answer to a lot of kids were taught things that they didn't know why, and nobody could explain why, but yet, you know, they saw us doing other things And they're like, this doesn't make sense. And so because they grew up thinking and they grew up, wanting to know when it didn't make sense to them, many of them walked, and I think we could have saved them. I really think we could have saved them.
Hey, look, you touched on something. I want to go back to it a little bit and just sort of pick your brain on it. You said something about, making sure that you were real all the time. And, unfortunately, any kid that's being raised in a Christian environment and in the church, they're probably going to be exposed to hypocrisy. They're probably going to see, even leaders that they're going to have a certain image. They're going to see something. They're going to be disappointed. How do we protect our kids from that? How do we prepare our kids for that? What can we do, about that? Because clearly we can't, eliminate hypocrisy because we're all human.
Mike, and I love what you said, and I think the answer is our job as parents is to do what the Bible tells us. Train up a child. Like, the training process never ends. Like, training is train. There's a difference between, taking your kid to church on Sunday morning and think, okay, God, I brought him to church every Sunday, right? No. Training happens in daily conversations. It happens when we react, like you said that one time when you gave the illustration about when the principal was wrong, but yet you still showed your kid the proper way to handle it, to show honor. Like, Mike, I believe when I'm faced with a situation where my son sees hypocrisy, like, my goal is to say, you know what, I'm really proud of you that you caught that. That's awesome. Caleb, that what you're saying is right. You're 1,000,000,000% right. And I'm actually, as a dad, proud of you that you caught that. Now, let me give you a little instruction here. And thankfully, I've built that trust where I can talk to him that way, and hopefully it's all going to stick. It's all you can do is just hope, right? But I'll say something like, Caleb, now listen, you're going to see this the rest of your life. Now, I'm going to tell you something. It's not just church. We see it in baseball. Friends, you can run, but you can't hide. If you think the church is the only place that has hypocrisy, you're out of your mind. There's
Right.
hypocrisy in sports. I've seen probably more hypocrisy and more politics in Little League sports than what I've seen in every church put together. It's what we call people, my friends. Whenever there's people involved. So at the end of the day, what we need to teach our kids, the number one thing parents should be focusing on from the time their kid is a baby until they graduate is attitude. Attitude is everything. Like, literally, always teach attitude. No matter what. Like, if you see hypocrisy, remember, Caleb, you're mentored in two ways, how to be and how not to be. Don't look at that and say, oh, the church sucks, everybody in church is fake. No, not everybody in church is fake.
Right.
Now, you might see a church, it's like a preacher that robs the church and steals the money, or goes and has sex with the secretary. Oh yeah, all preachers, they're perverts and they're all money hungry. No, they're not. That's just your one experience. Like, for every bad one, there's 100 good ones. For every hypocrite in church, there's 1,000 people trying. There's 1,000 people that mean well. So I'm like stricter on the opposite. I'm actually stricter to say, the Bible calls it a root of bitterness, right? So most major things in our life start off really small. So I'm going to say, no. No matter what, we got to keep the right attitude. No matter what, Caleb, we got to keep keep your eye on the bigger picture. Keep your eye on the rearview mirror is a good thing, okay? It's a blessing. But not if you use that rearview mirror the whole time you drive. Like, you've got to look out the big window. You've got to look at everything. You can't just stare at the... So, in other words, it's all about your perspective. And that's what saved me. Otherwise, I honestly, I'm being honest here. I'm honest in telling you. I'm going to open it up here. Here I am. You ready? I would have walked away from church so long ago had I not learned how to keep a right perspective and say, you know what? And learn how to just be grateful. The fact that, of course there's cold people in churches. Of course there's hypocrites. Of course there's preachers that steal money. Of course there's preachers that aren't real. Of course there's like people that go to church, say one thing and do another. But that's not my perspective. I get it. I get that this is humanity. It's going to happen. it's not going to like ruin my day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just not going to ruin my day.
I like that. And I think one of the things we need to teach our kids is that we definitely need to respect leaders. We need to respect people that are, in leadership, in churches and that sort of thing, in authority. At the same time, understand. And it's hard for kids because this takes emotional maturity to understand that they're just human and sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes that can be like devastating to a young person, somebody that they esteem like a pastor that, does something that they don't expect that's sort of outside their understanding of where the moral compass should point. That's very difficult for a young person to understand and comprehend. And so in those moments, we really sort of need to tell them, hey, look, it's good to hold them in esteem, and it's good to respect them and all of those things. Remember that every human is just a human.
Mike, honestly, as being someone that's been a public figure, that's been out in the eyes of people, okay? Let me just tell you my real truth. Here's my truth. My truth is I don't want to be on a pedestal. I really don't. So I live my life in ways that are, most of my friends just shake their head and they're like, I'll give you an example. Like last week I tweeted about Carrie Underwood, right? I mean, some of my friends were like, dude, I would have never done that. I'm like, but that's my truth. Like, you know what? Like, okay, I can see why you might not have ever done it, but in other words, I've kind of gone a little bit the other way, not in whatever, just in trying to say, you know what? We're not supposed to idolize people. We're supposed to respect people. It's good to respect them. Like, man, I really respect, so-and-so because they got a great church or they got a great heart. But when we start elevating people so high, that's why I think that more leaders should be more human, because they are. And what happens when they hide their humanity so much, I believe it actually causes them to fall. I really do. I believe it actually puts on this facade that actually hurts them in the long run and those that follow them. Again, obviously, Mike, there's a fine line to all of this. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, when you're a leader, you still have to maintain a certain, standard of excellence. You gotta be higher than your followers, not in attitude or arrogance, but obviously an example. So I do believe there's a balance here, if you would. But I do believe more people that are, that should be more human. That's like I follow some celebrities' tweets, and I'm like, you're disgusting. You're disgusting because you're not even human, but you really are human. You know what I mean? We know it. Everybody, you know what, Mike? Here's what I just want to say. Might as well be real. You know why? You can't fool people nowadays. Not nowadays. You could have 20 years ago, friends. You can't fool nobody nowadays. So I just believe, Mike, that we should all be, I hate to use the word authentic, because it's so overused. But we really should be authentic and, real and human. Human. Like, everybody's human. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying?
Hey, real quick, wanted to give a shout out to Felicity and Lauren. Serge says that they actually use Fuel for Success in their homeschool curriculum, which is amazing. And so Felicity and Lauren, have an awesome day at school. Work hard, apply yourself, be successful.
Keep good attitude.
Serge and Bethany, great parents you have.
Juices, drink it. Proud of you girls. You're awesome. Your parents rock. They're awesome people. Whatever they say, do it, because trust me, they'll take you to the top of the mountain and higher. Awesome, Mike. We do have a lot of teenagers and kids that watch, a lot of kids, believe it or not, watch Fuel for Success, which that's awesome to me. And
Yes.
I really love that. I really do. Mike, one more thing I was just going to say, whoa, is it already 30 minutes?
Yeah.
What? How in the world did this happen? I never looked at the clock one time.
You better say what you're going to say, because I'm cutting you off. Here we go. No, just kidding.
You're done. I'm never letting you back on this show again. Speaking of, Mike, just want to encourage people out there. Mike, I really, truly, I just want to see people make it. I want to see people understand that God loves them and that God really does look at the heart. Like this I told my son the other day. I said, Caleb, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm going to heaven. Like, I just know that I am. He's like, how are you so sure? I said, because God God promised me that he would love me the way I love you. And I said, and dude, it's all about your heart. I said, God looks at the heart. If your heart is saying, why David? Look what David did, my friends. But the Bible literally said he was a man after God's own heart. Probably because David had such a heart of, look at his prayer of repentance. I mean, you don't get any more sincere and honest than that.
Right.
Friends, you'll always win with God when your heart is after him. When your heart says, God, help. It was like the blind man. You ready for this? Here's the difference. How many people, when Jesus told the blind man that according to your faith be it unto you, and Jesus, they looked at Jesus and said, Lord, we believe, but help our unbelief. Like, if you can have the ability to just always be honest with God and say, now, God, I want to believe this. I don't believe it. God, help me believe it. I'm struggling here. Like, Mike, you are going to win with God when you do that. It's when you go plastic and when you go insincere and when you put on a fake smile and you say things and you go through the motions. God looks at the heart. Like, your lips can be saying one thing and your heart's saying another thing. With God, he doesn't care about what the lip says because he sees this. So when you say, God, create in me a clean heart, renew in me a right spirit. When you say every day, God, help me. Every one of us have struggles, Mike. Every one of us have temptations. Every one of us have weaknesses. Every one of us, the Bible says, all have sinned. I'm mesmerized by that scripture. All have sinned. And then when Jesus told him, he that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone. Like, all of Christianity needs to sit here and listen to this right now because it'll change their life. It really will change your life. And just literally have that heart of honesty to say, you know what, God, I want to pray more. God, I want to be closer to you. God, I want to know you. I want to experience you. I don't want to, like when your heart is, it's all your heart. It's your heart. It's your heart, my friend. It's your heart. It's your heart. All right, Mike.
Britton's got a question. We're at 32 minutes, and I think we'll probably have to do it. We've touched on this in the past, but maybe we need to do like a show on this about when, parents, one parent in church, another not, and how do you handle that with kids? That's a difficult situation for sure.
How do you want?
What's that?
How do you handle when one parent? Yeah, that's definitely, Britton. That's a phenomenal question, and some we'll probably have to dive into next Wednesday. And it's not that you're not important, because you are. In fact, you're one of our personal favorites, Miss Britton.
That's right.
But I mean, literally, your kids are too. So tell your kids right now, get them today after school, let them watch this. Your kids rock. I flat love them both. I love them. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're just, you just want to just hug them and not let go. You know what I'm saying?
It's the truth.
What are 3 things you're thankful for each day? Pacey and Pacey and Pacey. That's what I'm thankful for. No, Pacey, I was actually thinking about you yesterday, kid. I really was. I was sitting there thinking, because I'm in major evaluation mode right now. Major. And I'm thinking about Mission 25. I'm thinking about, wow, we actually did it. This is our 11th emissions trip. And I was thinking, honestly, Pacey, you have been such a huge factor in the success of Mission 25. More than you know. You and Britton both. Many of you out there. Many of you. But I do got to give a shout out to Miss Pacey, Mike, because, man, all those thank you cards she sent us, or not thank you cards, but the cards, the homemade cards, all the work behind the scenes. She got the juicers sent to that juvenile center in L.A. I mean, so much. All the donations. I mean, she just rocked it out, man.
That's right.
So that's what we're thankful for, Pacey.
Yeah, we're thankful for Pacey and everybody that watches the show. And Britton says her kids have written Just Juice It song, so we can't wait to see the video. That'll be awesome.
Cannot wait. Tell them to send it. Tell them that, Mike, we should offer something to the person that writes the best Just Juice It song. We should offer something. Like, I don't know when, but, we should go big, man.
Okay, good.
Anyway.
So, awesome. We will see you all tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for our show on business development and entrepreneurship. And thanks everyone for being with us today. It's been a blast. Enjoy your Wednesday.
I do the closing, you do the intros, right? You do a good job with the intros, I'll do the closings, right? I had one more question for you. My question, what are you 3 things you're most thankful for?
I'm thankful for my wife and a warm bed and the opportunity to serve God.
Come on, man. That's awesome. It's okay that I'm not in the top 3. That's all right. I'm not going to take it personal, my friend. It's all about perspective. You know what I mean? It's all good. I'm glad that your bed ranks higher than your best friend, me, co-host, co-founder of Mission 25, co-founder of the My Bleep 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 thing that we got coming.
I guess if given a choice between sleeping on the floor the rest of my life and having my good friend, Matt, I'll take the floor. I'll sleep on the floor.
Oh, man, I love you, buddy. Anyways, Mike, I was just kidding about the intros and closings. You know I was. I'm having a little fun with you. Anyways,
yeah, so close the show.
Yeah, Mike's just saying, let's go. Hey, we love you guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning in New Orleans. Mike and I will be there, so be ready for a little po' boy action from the can you give us a New Orleans accent, Mike, and saying goodbye?
Not till I've been there. I've never been, so after I'm there, I'll pick it up.
You don't know Cajun accent.
Yeah. I don't really want to do it until I experience it.
All right, we love you guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow. And pray for Mike and I. We got a big week this week. We really do. We got some major things going on with our business Thursday and with our book signings. So a lot of prayers and our Mission 25. To those that have already donated, thank you. To those that haven't donated yet, look, even $20 will help a homeless person. So Mike, put the link up if you would for those that are watching later on the archives. And stop by and make a little donation, my friends. It's simple. It'll take you less than a minute. And again, the biggest blessing comes to you, not to us. You'll be blessed. God will bless you in multiple ways. Thank you for throwing down even 20, 50. Someone made $1,000 donation the other day. Thank you. Every dime adds up, and everybody has been contributing. We say thank you. God bless y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.